Welcome to the Backfield the Buzz podcast, a part of the Hive Podcast Network. Cody Wiles, Logan Glover, and Andrew Foster here as always, keeping you up to date, all things NFL. Fellas, another week in the books, and we're here to talk about all of it. Superlatives. I came prepared. I know how to say it now.
There we go.
Superlatives. That is what we'll be getting into. But before we do that, Frosty, how you doing?
My PS5 just broke a couple days ago, so gonna have to pay to get that fixed. So that's gonna be fun. So we're not
What
we're not in the best mood, but it's okay.
what happened?
I'm just really lazy. I packed it to go back to my mom's, and I didn't unplug the HDMI cord from the back of it, and it broke the pins of the back of the HDMI port. So I have to go get a new port put in it.
Damn, that's tough. That is tough.
Well, Glover, how are you doing? You're in the market for a PS5 right
Yeah,
now,
I'm
aren't
in the
you?
other boat. Got came into, little graduation gift. I'm thinking of picking up a PS5, finally getting on board there. I'm a little late, but I'm thinking I'm probably gonna make that purchase in the next couple weeks. But pretty good weekend. Ravens looking real nice. I'm feeling pretty good right now.
All right. Well, we're about to get into the best game of the week, so maybe try not to throw the Ravens in, or if you do think it's the Ravens, go ahead. But best game of the week. Where are you starting, Glover?
I'm gonna go with Vikings Packers. It was a game that like you just watch the first half and you don't know how it wasn't a game of the week in the first half. It was so lopsided. The Vikings were just destroying the Packers. And then Jordan Love comes out in the second half, and especially the fourth quarter, really. It wasn't even the second half, it was just the fourth quarter. And the Packers make this a real game, almost bring it to win within 2 points to win it, and ended up coming up just short. But I mean, the Vikings were going all over them. Jordan Love couldn't do anything. He had 3 interceptions in the first half, then comes back and finishes the game with 389 yards and 4 touchdowns. That was a crazy game. You think it's out of reach, and then all of a sudden it's not out of reach. It's like the Georgia Alabama game from Saturday, where Georgia's up big or Alabama's up big, no shot. Georgia comes back, and bang, it's a classic game, classic ending, amazing finish.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I thought the Packers were getting ran out of their own building.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I thought they were getting embarrassed. I thought Malik Willis was going to be coming out for the second half. I thought it was going to be a mess. And Jordan Love did he did bring them back into the game. I'm going Seahawks Lions. So every single time these teams play, the last four matchups have been 51-29 Seattle, 48-45 Seattle, 37-31 Seattle, and now 42-29 Detroit. And those are all within the last 2 years. Like these two teams just put on absolute barn burners every single time they play, and I love it.
How is the Atlanta Saints game not one of your guys' picks? Are you kidding me? Young Wei Koo doing it again, 58-yarder for the win. I mean, a divisional rival game too. That's a good game to me. It was
Oh
so
yeah.
early in the week. I felt like it was one of like the first like Sunday games to finish, so maybe it kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. But that was a really good game. Camaro was once again solid. Olave, that Saints offense has slowed down a little bit from the first 2 weeks, but still humming along, I guess, to some degree. Some good games this week. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie, there's some solid games
Oh
this
yeah.
week.
Those are
I
those
feel,
are I was considering. Like we
uh,
hit all three I
oh,
was looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, would you consider throwing anything else in there? Like, I mean, Cowboys Giants by the score was a good game, but maybe not for your viewing pleasure.
No. Yeah, like the only like there was a couple close games. You look at like Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, or Jacksonville, Houston, but neither of those games were like good close football. You know what I mean? Like it was just little. There were some fine tuning things to be fixed on, but in both those games, it just didn't make it up to par as these in the comparison of these games where it was two teams playing very well against each other. This was more so two teams that didn't play so well against each other, but kept it close.
I will
Yeah.
say a game-winning drive by the Houston Texans. I thought about it.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
I mean, for worst game of the week, though, I mean, to me, there's one option. Actually, maybe there's two
There's
options.
there's a few options, I
There's
think.
I think
there's a
there's
few,
one
yeah.
clear
Yeah.
above loser, and
Good.
it has to be the Broncos Jets, right? I
It's
mean, like
terrible.
Frosty, take it
That,
away.
that was an absolute disaster. That was some of the worst quarterback play, just overall, like all encompassing in a football game I think I've ever seen in my life. There was like significantly better quarterback play in the college football games going on Saturday than there was in that game.
Only the Jets would hold Bo Nix to -7 yards in the first half and still lose at home. Bo Nix was 12 for 25 for 60 passing yards, and they still lost. This Jets team is honestly a bigger disaster than I thought, but this is just the Jets. Of course, they're going to be a disaster.
They also managed he was below 50% completion, somehow didn't turn the ball over, and also never got sacked once that whole game. He
Yeah.
threw for 60 yards and never got sacked once.
What a bizarro game. Like I know I'm a Brees Hall owner. Some other people in Brees Hall, like they Buffalo's defense, Denver's defense got at it. I think they're a bit underrated to some degree. Held Brees Hall 10 carries for 4 yards, sacked Aaron Rodgers 5 times. I mean, when you have PS2 being able to just eliminate the team's best receiver and they play straight up with you everywhere else, they got some players, even with Alex Singleton out, which is a big loss for them. He's somebody I've been talking about for a while now. Uh, it was tough, but they clamped up the run game. New York wasn't able to run at all, and then they're having a tough. Like Mike Williams led them in receiving yards. He actually had a couple nice grabs. Shout out Mike Williams, but 10-9 and Bo Nix finishes with 60 yards. That's about all you need to know. All right. Glover, is there any other ones that you liked? Well,
Well,
I guess didn't like.
I'll give a shout out to Titans Dolphins.
Okay, there you go.
That was abysmal football. Oh my God.
That was rough.
Like,
Somehow the Titans put up 31 points.
I don't know how that
I don't
happened
know how that happened actually.
because I stopped watching after the first half, and I was like, why would I watch this when the Lions Seahawks game is on? I was like, there's no point in watching this. I'm just not even gonna put myself through the trauma of watching this football game. But it was a disaster. Neither quarterback reached the 100-yard mark. Will Levis played two drives. His first drive, he threw a pick to a defensive end. And his second drive, he went 3 for 4 for 25 yards and dove for a first down, injuring his shoulder, knocking him out for the game. And then we had to watch Mason Rudolph play football. And Tyler Huntley was terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. Mike McDaniel needs to dumb this playbook down. I'm sorry. If you expected the guy off the Ravens practice squad to be able to figure out this rocket science playbook, you're an idiot. You have
Okay,
to play with your quarterback. You have to understand what quarterback you're working with here.
let's not. Tyreek Hill fumbled the ball.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Let's
Tyreek
not
performed
act like
too.
people around this Dolphins team.
Oh yeah.
It's not just Tyler Huntley.
No,
It's
for
this
sure.
Dolphins team is. I mean, Phillips gets hurt in this one. I think he got hurt, came back, and then got hurt again.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk about quarterback play, Frosty. Huntley, 14 of 22 for 96 yards. Mason Rudolph, 9 of 17 for 85. I mean, what do you did you have your eyes on this one?
No, I purposely tried to rip my eyes out of my head while I was watching it, actually.
There you go.
It was an absolute disaster. That I I did want to show that one out too. I also think Cowboys Giants was down there for one of the worst games of the week.
Fair enough.
So
It
we've
wasn't
we've
good, but
we've given Daniel Jones a lot of slack. Like we've like mentioned him a ton and we've talked down on him a ton. And statistically, I thought he was kind of shutting us up a little bit. He's not. He's a bad quarterback. He's the Giants should have won that game. They realistically, I think they were overall, they played better and they should have won that game. And Daniel Jones missed too many throws for them to win it. That play where Malik Neighbors snapped Andrew Booth's ACLs in half, and then Daniel Jones underthrew him. He has to come back to the ball. That's a touchdown. That wins them the game, all on its own.
the funniest thing about the Giants is last week, kicker gets injured on the kickoff, and they score three touchdowns and end up losing by 3 points. But if they had a kicker, they would have won that game. This week, they sign a kicker. They got a kicker now. And instead of that, they hit 5 field goals and don't score a single touchdown and lose the game. And if they scored a single touchdown, they would have won. The Giants are going to giant. And I'm really hoping if you're Joe Shane and you're watching this football game and you're watching the way the Giants offense is playing, you're not thinking that oh, Daniel Jones has something here, you're thinking, oh my God, Malik Neighbors is so good. He's making Daniel Jones look serviceable.
Yeah, seven field goals in that Titans Dolphins game, seven in this one as well. I mean, Brandon Aubrey missed a kick. Greg Joseph was 5 for 5. For anyone who doesn't know, we had this big Daniel Jones debate. I think this is before the podcast started.
Yeah.
I was basically I wasn't in favor of Daniel Jones was a good quarterback. I was in favor that he is a starting quarterback. Look at the other quarterbacks around the league, gentlemen. At least Daniel Jones put up 281 yards. At least he did that. I mean, did
Yeah,
throw
but
a pick, and
we
it
were
was never Daniel Jones is like even average.
no, but we were looking at like Gardner Minshew, and Gardner Minshew's been better than Daniel Jones this year.
I guess that was the main
That was the
argument,
main debate
but
was
it turned into like he is a starting quarterback, and you guys were kind of like he isn't a starting quarterback. I mean, do you guys think is he a top 32 quarterback? Am I like yes? There's just the quarterback play is so bad around the league once you get out of like the top 20, really, that it's like I don't think you can name third. I mean, if we're talking about quarterbacks actually playing right now, he's better than Tyler Huntley, he's better than Will Levis or Mason Rudolph. Like
yeah, if
He's
you
better than
start
Bo
taking away some
Nix.
of those guys.
he's bad, but it can always be worse.
Like,
Yeah,
Is
but
that
at
not
least
fair
you're
to
not.
say?
The thing is, the guys you. I think the biggest thing with Daniel Jones is the guys you named. How much money are they making combined? And Daniel Jones is making 45 million or whatever the hell it is.
Oh, that's a different conversation.
That's the biggest problem. Is it's like he's so bad, and the contract makes it so much worse.
I'm about to drop a bomb. He's outplayed Anthony Richardson this year.
he's outplayed Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been terrible.
Yeah, but I'm still
He's
taking
better than
both.
Bo Nix.
I'm still taking both those quarterbacks over Daniel Jones.
He's better than Bryce Young.
I I still have more faith in A. Rich and Jalen Hurts over Daniel Jones. I'm taking Joe Flacco over Daniel Jones.
I'm taking Andy Dalton over Daniel
Damn
Jones
straight, I'm
too.
taking Andy Dalton over Daniel Jones.
Give me the red
Give
rifle.
me the red rifle. Give me the retirement home guy and Joe
I mean,
Flacco, man.
honestly, I think Daniel Jones has probably outplayed Patrick Mahomes.
Oh
Oh
yeah, Mahomes has
yes.
been terrible.
Yeah, he's
So
been bad.
Receivers
I
need
have
some help.
no
This
idea how
if
they're
if
4
you
and 0
hate
right
Daniel
now.
Jones, you hate Patrick Mahomes. That's what we're saying. All right.
I hate Patrick Mahomes.
Well, let's before we talk about some player specific stuff, let's just do best team and worst team. So, Frosty, did you have a I think I saw Glover smile, so I think I know where he's going. But
I wonder.
that's why we'll actually just get it out of the way. Go ahead.
The
Yeah.
Ravens. That was the best game of football I've watched all year. Defense looked amazing. Offense looked amazing. They took the team that was widely considered the best team in football right now and just destroyed them in every facet of the game. Besides one defensive breakdown where the DBs started staring at Josh Allen's magnificent arm and they let Khalil Shakir just walk in for a touchdown, it was a perfect game on all phases. I'm fully bought back into the Ravens.
See, I knew that was going to happen. I figured the Ravens were going to be your choice, so I'm going a different route. I'm saying it's the Bucks. They absolutely curb stomped the Eagles. I honestly, the score being 33-16 doesn't really tell the whole story of how bad the Bucks beat the Eagles in this game. There was a point where the Bucks had almost 250 yards of offense and the Eagles had zero. Like they were absolutely just walking through them offensively, and the Eagles could not get anything going. Jalen Hurts, I think, had two fumbles again this game. One got recovered by Tampa. Like it's it's been a bit of a disaster in Philly, but Tampa looked unbelievable again this week.
I went with the Bucks too, and I mean, I think it just came down to simply as Tampa Bay had the better quarterback. Hurts 18 of 30 for 158 yards and a touchdown, QBR of 56.6. Baker 30 of 47, 347 yards, two TDs, zero picks, 74.8 QBR, and this Tampa front got to Hurts all day, six sacks. Barkley was relatively held in check, like 84 yards for him is like, I mean,
I
at this point you would take that.
And he had
Only
like a 60-yard run too.
Yeah,
So like they bottled him up all day.
Yeah, I mean, he only had 10 carries. They were playing down a lot of the way, but I mean, it's hard to really plant your flag on Philly. They are just so hurt right now that they weren't full strength at all. But I mean, Tampa, after a kind of a shocking loss to me last week, they bounced back in a big way.
yeah. I also would like to shout out the Commanders. I think they were my second pick for best team. that Cardinals offense had looked really electric. The Commanders defense had looked really bad, and they held them in check, and they put up points on the Cardinals, 42 to 14. The offense looks electric in there. Brian Robinson looks amazing. Jane Daniels was once again great. The secondary, which has been a problem for them, held Kyler Murray to 142 yards. It was a really good game for the Commanders, and we were talking about sneaky good last week. They might just be good. They might be a playoff. At this point, they might be a playoff team.
I was just checking. They finally punted. So they didn't punt
Yeah.
in their previous two games. They punted once this game. This off, I mean, have we had the Jaden Daniels conversation? We were talking about Jaden Daniels last
I
week, I
think
believe, at
Yeah.
some
we
point.
talked a bit about him last
I
week.
think I made a little bit of a case for him. I mean, it's even better now. I mean, that's to be fair, Arizona not really known for their defense. But I mean, let me see who the Commanders have coming up because it's going to be a real test for them. Because this NFC East, we were just talking about how shitty the Cowboys looked, how shitty the Eagles look, and I mean, I are we buying anybody else in that division other
They
than
might be the best team in the division. There's a
They
chance.
played the
Jaden,
best for sure.
I don't know if you saw the stat after the game. Jaden Daniels has more scoring drives than incompletions so far this year.
I think he has set a record for completion percentage. I believe he's
Yep.
85 now. It's up to 85 or
I think it's
something.
like 88 or 89.
On the
It's
season, it's
any 4 game regular season stretch in anybody's career. He's got the highest completion percentage in the first 4 games.
And we were talking about it. They schemed him like they're Cliff Kingsbury is scheming him to perfection. All this short stuff brings the DBs up, then he pushes it down the field a little bit. No, really, I don't think there was too many deep shots in this one like there was a week ago, but that's not their game. And if it presents itself, Daniels has shown the ability to get it down there. Cleveland next for them, then Baltimore, then Carolina, Chicago, New York. So outside of Baltimore, like Washington, you could see Washington be 6-2, 7-2 come week 10. So watch out for the Commanders.
yeah. Who would
Watch
have
out for
thought
the
that?
Commanders. Jaden Daniels. I mean, before the draft, a lot of the talk was it's not from NFL execs. It's not between Daniels and May. At this point, people think Daniels is rivaling Caleb Williams. And at this point, I mean, those guys are whoever came up with that idea is looking uh, not too
He's been
bad.
he's been the runaway, like he's been the best quarterback by far. Again, I'm not sure how much of this report is now he looks good, so let's let this report out. But there was a report that the Commanders would have taken Daniels over Caleb at the draft. They had the 1-1. I don't know
Interesting.
about that, but I think Daniels has been by far the best quarterback. It's between him and Malik Neighbors right now for Offensive Rookie of the Year. They both have been excellent every week of the season.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors is another one who's been fantastic. All right, worst team. We kind of maybe touched on it. You could either go Eagles, you could go Jets, you could go Dolphins. Uh, any other wild cards that you guys we've kind of already touched on those three.
I'd go Dolphins, but I'll throw in the Patriots. The
Okay,
Patriots were terrible, but they played the Niners. Like nobody was expecting anything out of there. But I'll go. My pick is definitely the Dolphins. The guy we also didn't mention who played like crap in that game, Devon Achane was awful. And get 10 carries for 15 yards. So
I can't even blame if you that off like we were talking about the Dolphins' problems a little bit. That offensive line is terrible.
it's bad. It is bad. The O
There,
line's terrible. And again, I think they need. I think Mike Daniel needs to go into his playbook and cut some stuff. He needs to make some changes and just go. You know what? This is a Tua play. This is a play that works when Tua Tagovailoa is throwing the ball, not when Tyler Huntley's doing it. So honestly, Tua getting hurt has made me raise my stock in him. I think
yeah,
him being injured has made me think of him as a better quarterback because of how bad this offense looks without him.
I mean, he was never. I think where it's hard to remember preseason where the thoughts were on Tua from us. We know his game, right? Like it's he can hit the open shots downfield. He's not doesn't have the best arm, but I mean when his guys are getting open, he has the touch. It's just a matter if he can get it there. And then he's a smart guy. And I think everybody knew that he's a smart quarterback, goes through the reads, and then he can use his legs a little bit. And then unfortunately that was his downfall. But you brought up the Patriots. Speaking of these rookies, can we just get Drake May in there, man?
No,
Like,
no, no,
please. I don't
please
want to
no.
watch Jacoby Brissett.
You're gonna get
no.
him killed, man. He's gonna get
Selfishly, I
snapped
don't.
in half.
He is literally going to die. He's going to fall like a sandwich in the backfield. There's
Selfishly, I don't want to watch Jacoby Brissett anymore. I can't.
I don't want to
He,
watch Drake May get his career ruined by the gauntlet that the Patriots
they don't
run.
have a gauntlet. This is my
They,
point.
I don't
Right
think they.
now, here's their next games. Let me lay it out for you, Glover. I came prepared for this. Okay. They've got through the tough after San Fran, it's Miami.
I mean, that isn't
Houston,
nothing anymore. That
Houston
isn't. Yeah.
isn't like it's a good team, but like it's not like a defense that's gonna ravage you. I mean, maybe it could, I guess, with a battle line. We saw what they did to we saw what they did earlier in the year to Chicago. I mean, Jacksonville, so Miami, Houston, Jacksonville, New York, Tennessee, Chicago, LA, Miami, Indy, Arizona. That's their next 10.
Like to
Let's
me,
see what
I'm
Drake
still.
make. Like this isn't the worst spot. I mean, maybe if they just I understand the whole take it slow. I get it. Selfishly, I just don't want to watch
I
Jacoby Brissett anymore. I can't.
To me, I'm still waiting till week 9 against Tennessee because Miami isn't good. We know this, but they have a decent defense. Houston would run through that O line.
Houston's the best team they're gonna play. Maybe after Houston, honestly, just because we've
No,
seen what they've done to a battle line.
yes, but also Jacksonville sucks. But Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker would probably get 7 sacks. And the Jets have an amazing defensive front and a
Yeah,
great
fair.
secondary. Just like I don't want to throw Drake May into those games. Like if you throw Drake May against DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, Michael Carter, Quinnen Williams, like just all the guys that Jets team has on the defense, I don't want to test it. And the Patriots keep losing, you know, that number one pick gets closer and closer. And there's a lot of good weapons you can find. You can grab Will Campbell to get the O line short up. You can grab Travis Hunter and do whatever the hell you want with Travis Hunter, Totoro McMillan. There's a lot of great guys that they can get at the top of this draft class to help support Drake May for next season. Jacoby Brissett is doing God's work for Drake May right now. And like, if I'm Drake May, I'm giving Jacoby Brissett my whole first year of the contract.
Uh, watching, I just can't support putting Drake May in after I watched him get a spine buster and he's played one drive against the Jets. I think it was the Jets that he played
It was the
against,
Jets, yeah.
and he tried to like scramble for a first down. One of the Jets linebackers came and just like diving speared him in the chest and just flattened him. And I was
Like
like, okay, this is
he played one drive against the Jets and was sacked twice.
yeah.
Like I don't keep on the bench. I'm okay with this.
It's I think we're babying him a little bit. Like, come on.
I think you
Let's
have to
let's
though.
Caleb Williams is running for his life
Yeah, but the Bears
And
have
and he's getting
sold.
important reps. He's
The
getting
difference
good
is the Bears
reps.
have sold the house for names like Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, Rome Odunze. They're supposed to be good.
I don't think you saw what Antonio Gibson did last week.
Oh yeah, let's go Antonio Gibbs. You see what DeAndre Swift did last week?
I did
Like
actually.
the Bears came into this year assuming the quarterback was all they needed. The Patriots knew the quarterback was the start. They need everything else on top of that.
Speaking of like they probably would love to have a top pick in this draft. We're gonna be doing some mock drafts and some big boards. Maybe we'll do a check-in. I think we said we'll do it in a couple weeks here. We'll do one maybe week 6, 12, and 18, something like that.
Yeah.
So there will be some rookie stuff, maybe like a dynasty rookie mock draft. I don't know. So we'll lots of options, but yeah, if I mean New England wouldn't take a QB, and this would be a class to not take a QB coming up. So all right, let's keep on the train with superlatives. Offensive player of the week, Frosty.
okay, this might, I don't know if this is going to be a hot take or not. Um, I have Geno Smith as my offensive player of the week. He looked unbelievable. That game against the Lions had no business being as close as it was. So I put him over Jared Goff. I know Jared Goff didn't throw an incompletion the whole game. Geno Smith was 38 for 56 for 395 yards and a touchdown. And Kenneth Walker had 3 touchdowns. And I'm pretty sure they were from the goal line. He had multiple pass interference calls on DK in the end zone that could have been touchdown passes as well. He could have been like nearing 500 yards if DK catches those, I would even if DK catches two touchdowns and doesn't get the one of like six pass interference calls that Carlton Davis got that game, Geno Smith is like had probably the best quarterback performance of the year, in my opinion. I think he outplayed Jared Goff on a night that Jared Goff was essentially perfect.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Gino did look amazing, but I mean, I'm gonna go with Derrick Henry. I
Yeah,
mean,
I knew that was coming.
I went with him last week, and he was better this week. Like, I don't. The game gets on. Already. I'm assuming it's like I was going into that game expecting to lose, and the first play of the game, Derrick Henry breaks one off for 87 yards and scores a touchdown. Like,
Oh
oh
my.
my God, 24 carries, 199 yards, two total touchdowns. Could have had a third one, but on the goal line, he got the ball popped out. Like,
Dude.
that was
Oh,
insane. I am loving the Derrick Henry show in Baltimore. I think Todd Monken's finally figured out, wait a second, I've got an elite running back here that I could use. And he's being used and it's looking just so good.
I'm going Nico Collins.
Yeah, I figured that one too.
this
Um,
isn't fun when I can't pick a player from my own team because no one was good enough.
just gotta get good. I mean, Nico Collins led all receivers this week, 12 catches, 151 yards, and a touchdown. Fellas, do you know? Okay, so Nico Collins has 489 yards on the year. Do you guys know how far away he is from? He leads the league by far. Do you know how far he is away from second place? It's over 100 yards. It's 103. Malik Neighbors in second though. Um, yeah, he has 386. Collins has 489. I mean, he's just always open. At this point, it's a lot of the talk was like, oh, it's Stroud making him look good. No, Nico Collins is just always open, or he's just going over the top and grabbing it on somebody. He's massive. He's a physical freak. He can route you up. He's fast. I don't know how many more. I don't know how many receivers you can take over him. I'm gonna be honest, fellas. I'm trying not
I
to be homerish, but I'm not sure how many more receivers you can take over Nico Collins at this point.
I really wish I knew before the season that they were just gonna force feed him the ball still, even though Stephon Diggs is in this offense now. Because I would have taken him like I was gonna take him in fantasy football and I ended up passing on him, but like I wanted him and I would have wanted even more if I knew how much they were throwing on the ball,
I
man.
mean,
They could have
they're
never taken
throwing
Diggs.
him and they're throwing him and Diggs the ball. Diggs is one of the top reception getters. I believe he is just looking at it real quick, fourth in the league in receptions. He's 22nd in receiving yards. It's been Tank Dell's been phased out, so it's really it's the Collins and the Diggs show, but it's just Collins gets open downfield.
I think
Diggs is
part of
more
it
of that
also,
short intermediate guy. Collins is deep and intermediate.
yeah. Part of the other thing is that with Mixon being here, they still have no run game. So with Mixon back, I'm curious if it'll tone it down a tad and they'll try and balance the offense a little bit. But yeah, like right now they're back they're doing the same thing they were doing last year. They're just every play's a pass play and they're just airing it out constantly.
I mean, I don't want to bar you against the Texans conversations, but I mean, there's some problems going on right now in Houston land, despite being 3-1. But I mean, even when Joe Mixon went off in week one with for 160 yards, Nico Collins still had 117. So it's a lethal offense when everybody's healthy and when we're not taking penalties. But I'll leave it at that for the Texans
When you're
talk.
not in a neck and neck game with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Just nothing went right for you know why we were in that game because Trevor Lawrence stinks.
Oh yeah.
Respectfully, I like the more and more I watch him, it's just he is missing guys. Like I I'm actually not very pleased with how the defense played against Jacksonville because there were a lot of receivers open and Lawrence was just missing them. Like just flat out misses constantly. So um he's definitely not gonna be winning offensive player of the year on the Backfield Buzz show, which means everything, right? So
Obviously.
all right, defensive player of the year, Frosty. Or defensive
There
player of the
was
week, sorry. Yeah.
there wasn't a ton of guys again this week. I'm going with Fred Warner. I feel like we haven't picked, in my opinion, probably the best defensive player in football, yet to win a defensive player of the week. He had the pick six. I think he was tied for the team lead in tackles this game. And the Niners defense just dominated the Patriots as you'd expect them to do. But, and at the center of it, as he literally is every single game, is Fred Warner. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, I found the same thing where there's been not a lot of great defensive showings this year, especially with rookies. You know, when I'm looking for my rookie of the weeks, I'm looking to trying to see if I can throw a defensive guy in there. I just can't. This week for defensive player of the week, I'm going Troy Anderson. Kind of the same thing as Fred Warner. Pick six, 17 total tackles, was all over the field, looks really, really good. He was a quarterback turned linebacker in college. So he's really an athletic freak at the linebacker position. He's fast, he works so well, and he's obviously great at making big hits. But yeah, he was really good also at tackle for loss in this game, but he had a really good game, similarly to Fred Warner, pretty much the exact same sort of game.
I had Warner too, but just another one that popped in my mind watching last night, Kirby Joseph. I mean,
Yeah.
he had one hell of a pick. That I wasn't sure if he caught it to end the game, but he did, and had another pass deflection and a tackle for loss, led the team in tackles. He had a good game. Even though he kind of he took a terrible angle to let Ken Walker have a big run. But other than that, he was super solid. It's you mentioned the rookie thing, Glover. I mean, that shouldn't surprise you that no defensive guys have like coming into the draft. This is an all offensive heavy, and honestly, it's kind of looking that way again coming up in this year. There hasn't really been any two, depending on what you think Travis Hunter is going to be, which from what I'm seeing and what I would expect, I mean, you're making more money as a receiver, no?
Yeah. I with this year, I'm really just curious as to who's going to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. Like, none of the guys you're looking at have looked good. Like Leatu Latu and Dallas Turner both haven't really done much. Terry and Arnold, he's been grabby and he has not looked very good defensively. They're talking about it on the broadcast last night. Chris Collinsworth mentioned it. Every time he gets into trouble, he just grabs. And he said he needs to start practicing with mittens on. And he's probably right. Like put some cooking gloves on his hand. He's really been bad with that, and no one's really stood out. No DBs, no linebackers, no pass rushers. There's not really been a guy where I go, that's even though no one else is doing anything, this is obviously the defensive rookie of the year. There's no one.
Just trying to pull up the odds here. I will say, not even to sound homerish again, but Kamari Lassiter has been honestly one of the best defensive rookies, and I don't know how much that's saying, but he's currently fourth, or he's tied for the third best odds with Dallas Turner. Jared Verse is the current favorite.
He's been solid. I
Uh,
actually I'd probably go first. He just hasn't been bad. I mean, that's really what like he's been pretty solid. He's made some I've seen him make plays.
Byron Murphy of the Seattle Seahawks, who's had a solid year. Quinyon Mitchell of the Eagles, who they love, has also been up there. Wiggins is there too. So um there's some Chop Robinson also getting a little love on the list. It's we'll see who takes
Yeah.
the mantle, but clearly there's a hierarchy on the offensive side, eh, Frosty?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The offensive rookies this year are like head and shoulders above the defensive rookies.
They should just give the defensive rookie of the year award to whoever doesn't win it between Malik Neighbors and Jaden Daniels. Give them both rookie of the year.
I wonder if like Travis, like I doubt he goes both ways in the NFL. It'd be crazy, but like, what if he won both? That would be something, hey. All right, rookie of the week. I mean, we just kind of talked. We talked about Daniels. We talked about Neighbors. Anybody else that really stood out to you guys, or are we handing it to some form of these guys?
I want to give a quick little shout out to Xavier Legette.
First
He
touchdown, right? Yeah.
he filled in for Adam Thielen as the wide receiver 2 on the Panthers this week. He did about as well as you could have possibly asked him to do, I think. I mean, he caught the touchdown. I think he had 6 or 8 catches. Like he looked like a very, very good wide receiver too, which as a rookie right now, especially on that Panthers team, with Andy Dalton as quarterback, I think is a really good thing to be able to slot yourself into that position.
Yeah, I like Leggett. Neighbors is my guy, but Brian Thomas Jr. also looked pretty solid despite having multiple deep shots overthrown to him. He's looked really good and might be the best receiver in that room right now in
He was
Jackson.
open all game. He is the
Yeah.
best receiver. Like,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've been betting on Brian Thomas like every week now, and like the odds are maybe people finally start to catch up because my God, he was open all day.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up with surprise player of the week. Interested to hear where you guys go for this, Glover.
I'm gonna go where all fantasy owners are hoping I go. I'm going DeAndre Swift, man. I thought this guy was dead. I thought he was dead. Like, he looked like the worst running back ever, averaging less than 2 yards per carry through the first 3 weeks. Comes out against the Rams, 16 carries, 93 yards, a touchdown. Also had 7 catches for 72 yards. Oh my God. Like, I don't know if this is going to be like a thing he can keep going and building on. I doubt that. But he looked really good this week against the Rams, and a big reason why they won that game.
All right. Frosty, who surprised you?
We talked that we said that we can go we can go surprising in a bad way last week. I'm going Terry and Arnold. This is kind of just combined from what he's done all season long. As a Bama corner drafted in the first round, some of the names that have come out of Bama as DBs recently, Brian Branch, Minka Fitzpatrick, Marlon Humphrey, Pat Surtain, Trayvon Diggs. I thought this guy was going to come in and be an immediate impact player. He's the second most penalized player in football, only behind Laramie Tunsil. So the most penalized outside of an offensive line. He's given up 118 yards of penalties. Second place is only 84 and 5 pass interference calls in 4 weeks. He's averaging over one PI call a game right now. It's you just he's bordering on you can't put him on the field at this point because he just grabs and claws at everybody that gets any kind of separation.
The problem is there's no one else the Lions can put on the field at DB. That's why it was such a good fit, is he was going to come in there and play an impact role. But like Carlton Davis was better, but he kind of got worked by DK Metcalf. When he wasn't getting worked, he was getting penalties. He was sitting there and grabbing and pulling down and all that sort of stuff. Like the play that sums it up for Terran Arnold though was there was a clip of him, it was Jake Bobo was running a route and it wasn't even thrown in his direction, and he just tackles him. He gets caught on the route, just tackles him, and he's sitting there pointing at the jumbotron, like, look, 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 I didn't do anything, as if the screen cap wasn't him fully wrapped around, yanking him down. I picked him for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he's been a little disappointing. He has not looked very good at all, and it's really been a shame. It has really, really been a shame.
Teams are targeting him. I mean, it's very hard to run on this front, so teams have to pass the ball on Detroit. And I mean, him and Carlton Davis are getting tested in a big way. I mean, even like Carlton Davis got called for some. He should have had called for another one. Like he was draped all over DK on one
Oh,
potential touchdown pass. He just like didn't get called. I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like, what are we doing here? Anyways, I we did say no rookies for surprise, but it's okay since you went negative. I think that's fine. We'll
yeah.
allow it. Yeah, I went the same way. Surprisingly, a bad way. Brees Hall. I mean, you would think he would just be the catalyst that would run the Denver Broncos out of the facility, but 2 catches on 14 yards, 10 carries for 4 yards. Just a disappointing day for a disappointing Jets team. All right, news and notes. I'm gonna kind of surprise you. I guess I'm gonna tell you guys about this, but I mean, big news that's been coming out lately is this Devontae Adams stuff. And I thought maybe we could have a little conversation about it. I'm sure we're all aware that Antonio Pierce liked an Instagram post uh suggesting that Devontae may have played his last snap for Vegas. Side note, just like that's like so wild, regardless. And then Devontae on the Up and Adams show today, I believe, he said that he hasn't heard from Antonio Pierce and there's been no communication with anybody from the team. And there's also a report that Vegas is either shopping him or taking offers. Uh, what's going on here? I mean, I think we all kind of saw it coming into the year, and maybe there was rumors last year about it. Just since Derek Carr left, it's been trouble in paradise for Devontae. Eh?
I mean, realistically, he went there to go play with Derek Carr. The Raiders thought they were going to start winning, but they're not. So they have no need for a 31-year-old receiver. They don't have a future quarterback. Their defense is meh. They're in a retooling, rebuilding phase. They have no need for a 31-year-old receiver. I'd trade him. There's a lot of teams that be open to trading for him.
That's what I wanted to go next. Where would you guys like to see Devontae Adams go?
Where would I like to see, or where do I think he's going to see? Because I think he's going to be a Chief.
We have some.
Oh, Jesus.
They
Oh,
just lost Rasheed Rice. They lost Hollywood Brown for the year. they have no receivers essentially right now outside of Xavier Worthy, and he's just a deep threat. I don't want Juju Smith-Schuster as my number one underneath target right now. Travis Kelce looked good. What's stopping the Chiefs from going out and getting Devontae Adams right now?
Hopefully the salary cap, I hope. Like, God, I would hate that.
And maybe the Raiders don't want to deal in division.
Division is also tough.
But he realistically, like if you're thinking it from the Raiders' perspective, you charge them more than what you're charging anybody else to try and get him. And then by the time the Raiders are good, he's not going to be good anyways. So you're not really trading anybody that's going to affect your ability to win in the future.
A place that's interesting to me is the
I mean,
Jets
okay.
because like they have receivers, but it's Aaron Rodgers, he's got that pull. The team's been underperforming. That would be interesting, I think.
I mean, Glover, are you against him coming to Baltimore?
I mean, every time there's a rumor with a receiver, he's going to Baltimore. He's not. Like, it'd be cool. I wouldn't be like, no, don't trade for Devontae Adams, but he's not coming to Baltimore. Eric DeCosta doesn't make those trades very often. The one he did was Roquan Smith, and that was because Roquan Smith was 25 when he made the trade, and you locked him up long term. I don't think so. I think Zay Flowers, in the way this offense is run, Zay Flowers can be the one. You have two great tight ends. You have emerging receivers like Rashad Bateman, and they've realized run the damn football. You're not gonna pass. There's no need. Just run with Derrick Henry. So I doubt it.
I'm trying to think if like I mean, I'm assuming he wants to go to a contender,
Yeah.
and so I assume like no rebuilding teams would really like want to get involved with that. But I mean, I'm trying to scroll through here and find out who else. Like Minnesota, do they want to up that receiving core a little bit? Give Jettas someone else because it's
I don't know if they
Jalen Naylor
need
right
to.
now.
Jalen
And
Naylor's looked
Madison did
unreal.
look
They got
good
Jordan
last
Addison too.
Jordan
time.
Addison looked really good. I think
LA,
they got Puka and Cooper Kupp coming back. I think the issue is it depends on the price because for a lot of these teams
he
that would
should be like crazy.
well, yeah, but for a lot of these teams, you're paying for a guy who's probably the two. Like Jefferson's the one. You look at like LA, Puka or Kupp's the one. Like they're nobody's gonna be paying a ridiculous price. Like Garrett Wilson is the one in New York. So I don't know. Like I could see maybe like
New Orleans, Dallas, Frosty.
maybe Atlanta. Maybe Atlanta makes the move. Like I don't know. I don't know.
I I still think you're trading for a one though. Like, are you putting Garrett Wilson above him?
No.
I think you're trading for a one, but I think in a lot of these offenses, he's not your guy you're like trying to work through. Like for the Jets, Garrett Wilson's your long-term one. You don't want to do anything to put that at risk. Like, I don't know. If you're having to give up, because I think if you have to give up a first round pick, I wouldn't do it.
I don't think he would cost a first.
I don't
Like, I
think he
mean,
cost
NFL
a
trades are always
first.
kind of weird. Like, I always feel like I mean, picks are just so valuable that maybe
Yeah.
that's why I have like NBA brain where it's just like seven first round picks out the
Yeah.
door. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what he would actually go for. But I mean, bit of a hefty contract. He's getting
Yeah.
paid up until 2026. So,
That's
and
why I think the Chiefs can't.
and according to Spot Track, 35 mil in 2025 and 2026. But this year's been restructured. The cap hits down a little bit this season. So,
Well, yeah,
and
that's
you can restructure any contract in the NFL anyways. So,
the salary cap is a made up thing in the NFL, that's for sure. Like it is purely like there's nothing legit about it. But I don't like looking at the Chiefs, they traded Tyreek Hill to not pay a receiver. I don't think they're gonna go and then spend assets to go get a receiver. I mean, like I don't know how long Rashee Rice has
it's
left in
just
his
it's a
contract.
very bad. It's not good for what they have right
They
now.
might have to though.
I mean,
Like
Rice hasn't been confirmed torn ACL, and honestly,
Gotta
any
be it. It's
but
gotta be
and
it. It's gotta
but
be a
yeah,
torn ACL.
the fact it isn't yet. Like you can have an MR like as someone who's torn his ACL, you just get an MRI and it says it's torn. And the fact that this hasn't been confirmed yet, I think is good news for Chiefs fans and Rice's health.
Yeah,
I'm thinking maybe, I mean, we don't want to play doctor, but just based on why it hasn't been confirmed, like this happened like I mean, maybe it's just they're waiting for an announcement or something, but
It
I
could
think
also,
something's partially torn maybe, and they're figuring out best course of action.
yeah, they're figuring out their options, but they're trying to find a world where they can play him. I think that's what they're really doing is they're sitting here like this can't be we need to find a way to play Rasheed Rice. And yeah, I don't know. It's watching that play, there's no way there's not at least some serious damage to that knee. Mahomes basically headbutted it.
You also have to think though, like comparing it to Jordan Love's, I thought Jordan Love was done till like mid-season at least. And
Yeah, but
he's come back rapidly.
I think the difference there is Jordan Love, it was a sprain. It was a big sprain. It was a high ankle sprain. So it was a rough sprain, but he's also a quarterback. So he can avoid running around. Like Rasheed Rice has to be able to use that leg to run routes. Otherwise, you're better off not having him on the field. So I don't know. I think he's at least an IR stint. You're at least looking at 4 to 8 weeks. Best case scenario, I think.
Well, we'll see. The Chiefs are getting, I mean, it has to be some sort of three-peat curse because if they have battled back through everything that's going on, like Pacheco's down, Rice is now down,
Yeah.
Mahomes looks the worst he's ever had. I mean,
Kelsey looks the worst
Kelsey
he's ever
continues
had.
to have slow regular seasons.
And they're
The
still 4 and
defense,
0.
yeah, the defense is still intact, and the O line is still playing really good. And that rookie that they have, Kingsley,
Suamataia.
thank you. He's coming along a little bit. He had a rough couple of weeks, but he's slowly getting there. But yeah, now it's the Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson, and Xavier Worthy show. So I mean, Amari Cooper is somebody who I think is going to be available as well. It's been reported that his cap hit is very low, so a
I
team like
think
the Chiefs could easily go get an Amari Cooper.
I think that's a better fit than Devonte Adams. Smaller splash, smaller price to pay, smaller contract. I think Amari Cooper's deal is up after this season. That makes more sense to me. Take on a rental to fill in for Rasheed Rice and don't hurt your long-term cap plans. Because the Chiefs, they're very good with money. Very good with money. So, you take on 8.7 million in Amari Cooper for one more year. That's feasible to me. That makes more sense.
Well, all right. I think anything else you guys want to share, or is that will that do it for the backfield buzz?
I think that's it.
Looks like we are good. I guess we'll see where Devontae Adams goes because it's a storyline that is starting to emerge here as we continue into the NFL season. And as we continue into next week, keep an eye out for our best bets and fantasy episode that should be coming out Thursday morning, Wednesday night, maybe. We'll see. Um, yeah, best bets have not been looking good this year for us. Fantasy a little bit better, but uh, I wouldn't be betting with us at this point. You gotta fade at this point, fade us. Uh, anyways, Cody Wiles, Andrew Foster, Logan Glover here. Thanks for watching the Backfield Buzz, and as always, keep it buzzing.